Hey, what's up, hoodies? How y'all doing this evening? I hope everybody is having a wonderful night. Y'all, it was 70 degrees here. Matter of fact, 79 degrees here, almost 80 yesterday. And we was grilling and everything. Had ribs, chicken, hot dogs, brats, all kind of stuff on the grill. And today, right now, it feels like 15 degrees outside, and it's going to be icy and snowing in a couple of hours. That is Nebraska weather for you. But anyway, y'all, I'm going to get into this recap of who the F did I marry? Which is on TikTok, child. It's 52 or 50 parts or something like that. I don't understand why this lady, well, I didn't understand why this lady did it in so many parts, but then I realized on TikTok, you only get like 10 minutes or something like that to speak on TikTok live or something like that. So that's why she had to do live after live after live after live. But anyway, after the video, please put in the comment section what y'all think about this story. Do y'all believe most of the stuff that's going on here? Can y'all believe it? Do y'all think it's true, but y'all still can't believe it? Or do y'all just don't believe it? Please let me know, because some of this stuff just seems so off the wall. Like, girl, who raised you? Was you sleeping under a rock all your life? Because you cannot be that gullible, that naive. But anyway, this lady on TikTok. Now, her name, hold up, let me get back over here because I done wrote my little summary of what's going on with this lady, and I seriously forgot her daughter. Over here, and I want to make sure that I give y'all her exact name, because I definitely want to leave the link to her channel in the chat. So her name is Risa Tisa, Reesa Teesa. So it's @Risa Tisa on TikTok. But again, I'll leave her handle in the comment section and in the description box, just in case y'all want to go over there and check her out. But Risa, that's the name she's going by on TikTok. Now, she met this guy in March of 2020. It was like right when the pandemic was going on, when the pandemic was hitting. Georgia was about to be shut down. Mind you, she lives in Georgia. And she met this guy on a Facebook dating site. And then she also realized he was on Hinge as well, but she didn't know it was him on two different sites because, for one, he used two different names. For two, he used two different profile pictures. So she didn't know that was him. But when he met her, he was like, "You didn't know that I was over here and over here?" She's like, "No." She was like, "Red flag number one." She didn't know he had two accounts because of the different pics and the names, which she said should have been a red flag. She was like, it was a united nation of red flags. That's how many red flags happened during this entire relationship. And she said on the first phone call, she was working, at a Georgia State Patrol office, and he had two different social accounts. They learned a lot of things about each other, first few phone call conversations. He said he grew up in Philly. Both of his parents were deceased. His father died from cancer. She didn't know why his mom died, but he said she was deceased as well. He said his dad was a police officer. His mom was a teacher. He briefly lived in Augusta with family, two brothers, two sisters, two half bros on his dad's side. Then he moved to Georgia for a job at a big condiment company, but she would not say the name. So, first call, they talked about family, friends, jobs, and he told her he used to play arena football and worked at Apple on the off season. He said he was divorced. His ex had two kids. He didn't have any, but those were his two, kids as well. You know how it is when you marry her, you marry the kids. So, and he said the reason why he left Cali for Georgia is because his ex-wife had cheated on him in Cali. So, with him moving to Georgia, being given this job offer, it would be like a new beginnings, new experiences, and he can't stand his ex, but he wanted to be in his kids' life, his stepkids. And he also said he moved there because the job was going to be helping him with housing, because he was married to her. They had a home, they had cars, they had a family, and now he basically was with no family, with no her, and he figured if he moved to Georgia, he'd get brand new housing, brand new life, brand new job, whatever. But he was looking at Brookhaven or Sandy Springs. But being that he didn't know any people there, he was trying to, meet somebody who might be in the area. But she said when he was sharing so much with him, she wasn't used to that. Me personally, I'm not either. When she was telling me all the stuff he was sharing, I was like, dang, he's sharing a whole lot. Sound like a female. All that information. But then again, I don't think we be sharing that much anyway. But she said she wasn't used to men talking, that much to her. But he eventually did ask her out for a date. And she said on March 7th, they went on their first date to her favorite place, which is the Cheesecake Factory. And it was a location between both their homes, between Sandy Springs, the Dunwoody area. But on the way there, her tire blew out on 285. And she said she called him. And she said she was basically being like a damsel in distress. She didn't have nobody to call. I don't know. She didn't have no insurance, roadside assistance. I don't know why she did. But she called him and told him, I guess she was going to be late or whatever. And he came to her rescue. He said, drop your pen so he can come to her. And she was happy. She was elated. He came. She said, oh my gosh. And he looked just like his pictures. So it wasn't like she was being catfished, at least not, physically. At least not physically. But he came to the Chevron gas station looking like he was supposed to look like from the dating site. And she said it was really sexy of him to see, him change tires and help her out because, again, she was playing the damsel in distress. And he even paid for her to get another tire. Now that is not something that usually happens. The man might sit there and wait for you or he might change your tire. He might follow you to where you can buy a tire, or he might be like, well, you got the donut on there, just get a tire when you can. But he even went out so far as to buy her a tire. She said they got to the Cheesecake Factory and they were holding hands. Now that struck me because I'm like, holding hands? Y'all only talked on the phone once. This is your first date, but y'all holding hands in a restaurant? And I was thinking, how many people has she dated before that? But anyway, she said she had butterflies in her stomach. The conversation was great. He told her what he was looking for, which was a real marriage because his parents were married 40 years before his mom passed. So he wants a real marriage just like his parents. And, something totally different from what he had before. Remember, he said his wife cheated on him, right? And he didn't want that same type of thing. He wants something that was real. And she, of course, was like, yeah, me too. But she didn't mean like in the future, like 5 years from now, after they've been dating and became best friends and got to know each other really well and all that, maybe live with each other for a minute. No, it was like expeditiously. Okay. So that was like part one. Then part two, in April, he showed her some papers for a mortgage with Chase, approving him for $750,000. And she looking at the papers like, okay, I got a good job. I make okay money. You know what I'm saying? I used to live by myself. She said she had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house or condo or townhome or whatever, but she knew she couldn't afford something like that. So she asked him, can you afford it? Do you have enough money to afford something like that? Because I sure can't. And that's what he told her. He used to play arena football and, he invested some of his money really well. So financially, he thinks he would be okay to get approved for a mortgage of that amount. And he also not only had money with them, he had money with US Bank, he had money with Chase, and he even had an offshore account. Red flag number 2. Okay, we're going to see how many we can count. All right. Red flag number 2. So when she asked about the offshore account, he said, don't everybody know you should have an offshore account? Like all your banks should be in the United States, right? I'm like, ain't nobody ever told me that. Now I was always told you should have more than one account, but nobody ever told me you need an offshore account. Nah, that ain't what I've been told. But anywho. So he told her that was the reason why he had an offshore account. And since she had actually saw the paperwork approving the loan, she didn't think nothing of it. So they contacted a realtor who she said she later owes an apology to, and we'll get to that apology later. So they looked at houses in Smyrna, Marietta area. And remember, it was the pandemic time. So you couldn't really go out to look at houses if people were still living in them. And the house that they were living in, or that they were looking on purchasing, somebody was already living in there. So they had to look at the pictures, virtually. and the house is beautiful. She showed a picture of the house and then showed the house number, but it said like the street address and how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many square feet. So I literally looked up every house that she was referring to in this storyline. And one of the houses again was in Smyrna. And the address, let me see if I can find the address here because yeah, I did write it down. It was 2240 Simpson Road, Southeast Smyrna, Georgia. The house is now worth $1,016,000. Hold on. $1,016,465. 5 bedrooms, 5.5 baths, 68, 69 square feet. That's the one in Smyrna, Georgia. Beautiful house, mansion. So that was the first house that they looked at in Smyrna. And that was then like $750,000. So basically what happened from then, they looked at the house virtually online. They really, really liked it. They knew people was living there at the time, but they could still, of course, make an offer on the house. He also told her that he put down earnest money. And he told her that he put in an offer. It was accepted. They was under contract. He put in earnest money. So he said if the inspection goes well, they can do a virtual closing by June. And then she got a call from the realtor asking, what are your plans? Are you guys still interested in this house? Red flag number 3. She tells him, well, my fiance told me that he already put an offer in that was approved. And he already put an earnest deposit and we were under contract. Then he's like, huh? Well, I don't know anything about that. She's like, hold on. Let me just contact my fiance. You know what I'm saying? And she contacts the fiance. He gets upset because first of all, he's like, how you gonna call her? And I'm the one who's paying for the house. I'm the one who put the earnest deposit down. I'm the one who signed the contract. Okay, how you gonna talk to her? You should have been calling me. Anyway, his excuse for the realtor not knowing what's going on is his friend is also a realtor. And he decided to give the sale to his friend so he could get, the bonus from the sale. So that's what happened. She at that time was still like, she didn't think nothing of it because she saw online that the house was really under contract because she looked it up. A few days later, she looked up the house in Smyrna and saw that it was under contract. So she automatically assumed it was with them. And the family was still living there. But while the family was still living there, they were so excited about this house. She just wanted to go see it. So they would drive past the house every now and then and discussing furniture and appliances. And she said he was really methodical in planning. Like he was like, okay, we need to get this, we need to get that. Things women usually do. Okay, we need to get this, honey. We need to go get this, honey. When are we going to look at appliances, honey? That's what women usually do. But she said he was very methodical in planning. So they started going to Lowe's, Home Depot, to purchase appliances. Because the seller, he said the husband or fiance said the seller was taking appliances. That leads up to part 4. Now, part 4. They out there choosing appliances. He's taking pics of the SKU numbers. He's asking Home Depot and Lowe's, can we order this stuff now? And then y'all just put it on hold till we close in June, when we close on the house. And they was like, yeah, because it was the pandemic. And that's what people was doing around that time. So they say, yeah, people do it all the time, especially right now. And so the dude put down like $500. She watched him do this. Then she said they went to Rooms to Go, Ashley Furniture, American Signature, looking for furniture. He took pics of all the furniture that they wanted and told her, we can go home and I can just order this stuff online. All right. So she was like, cool, whatever. April turns into May. And this is where she said things started getting interesting. And it was so funny because people in her chat was like, interesting, just started. Like, things was interesting from the very beginning, girl. What is you talking about? But anywho, moving right along. So she said things were getting interesting. May comes and no inspection yet. He tells her it's because of the pandemic and they can't get a new inspector right now. The old inspector, he didn't caught the COVID. The new inspector, he's so behind in sales, you know what homes. He's backed up in inspections. And that is what she said. Something just told her to start recording audio diaries, just recording her thoughts. And she says something just made her start recording. And she would save them by dates and just basically say what was on her mind. And of course, she said this home and this inspection at the time was the main things on her mind. She was having doubts, even though she saw him paying for appliances. She saw the house online under contract, and he told her that they were the ones who had the house under contract. She, up to that point, hadn't caught him in any lies yet. So she figured, maybe I'm just not used to guys doing what they say or they're going to do. And that's what I was saying about when they was at the restaurant, and he got her a new tire. He put her spare on that car, and he went with her to purchase a new tire, and she was holding his hands by the time they got to the restaurant. Like, girl, you don't even know this man, and you holding his hand. But anyway, so she figured, he ain't lied to me yet, so why should I doubt him? But still, something didn't feel right, and that's what made her, get that audio recorder. So anyway, mid-May, inspection hadn't happened yet. Then she finds out she's pregnant. And she has some concerns. She's plus size, and her age made her think it might be a high-risk pregnancy. And she still wasn't married. Her family didn't even know he had moved in with her. And because of her upbringing and her strong religious beliefs, she was not like just dealing with the pregnancy well. She was not even dealing well with him living with her. She wasn't dealing well with any of that because she's like, I should be married first before I get pregnant, before a man move in. That's just what she was taught. But for some reason, all that went to the wayside. All that upbringing, all that preaching down fire and brimstone, all that shit went to the wayside because she didn't let him move in. She didn't let him knock her up. And ain't no ring. But anyway, so she found out she was pregnant. She was really concerned about that. She was feeling very conflicted. She was desperate not to only get married, but also desperate to find a house outside of Riverdale. And he had an answer for everything, she said. And that is what a scam artist does. That is one of their skills. That's part of their behavior. They automatically have an answer for everything. The sky's blue, honey. No, it's not blue. It's pink because of this, that, the scientists. And you're a scam artist. They will tell you anything, child. And if you're gullible, you might fall for it. If you're naive, if you're not smart enough, if you ain't on your toes, you might fall for it. And she still, at that time, was taking his word for everything, including the house. So the inspection finally happened. Per him. Mind you, she's not involved in none of this shit. She was involved when they went to pick out appliances. She was involved when they picked out furniture, but she was not involved in any of the house paperwork. So per his word, the inspection finally happened. And there was nothing found, thank God, that they couldn't handle per him. And they were set to close virtually the end of May before Memorial Day because of the pandemic. But for some reason, she said, I just didn't feel like packing. She said, I already hate moving. I hate packing and moving anyway. And so I wasn't, ready to move. I'm pregnant, not feeling well, tired all the time. And then still something wasn't sitting right with her. So she didn't even start packing. She absolutely hated packing. So basically what she did was she just sat back and she was like, we'll just see how this goes. It was just something nagging her, y'all. Something nagging her. She said all through their relationship, she just felt that something, she didn't know what it was. She was just like, it's just something. I can't put my finger on it, but it's just something. And she was thinking, what if we don't get this house? What if he's lying? But then who would lie? Like, who would lie? Who would go through all this with bank papers, on the phone talking to realtors and all this kind of stuff? Just make up a lie. Who would do that and still show you all type of paperwork? Part 5. Now, they're into June. And she was still stressed out, about the pregnancy, about, trying to find a house. And something again made her look online to check out the house. And so she went to realtor.com and it showed that the house was off the market. And the guy, the guys who they were originally doing the home deal with was out of the picture. So she called the realtor and said, my husband and I, she had to talk. She was talking like in her Valley Girl voice. She said, I had to play the role. Like I'm really married and really trying to buy a house and whatever. I don't know. She was like, my husband and I, we were looking at this house and we wanted to tour it, but now it's showing it's off the market. And the realtor said it closed yesterday on June 4th. She was like, really? Really? Playing it off. And then she said, dang, my husband and I, we really love the pictures of the house. And we really, really wanted to tour that house. We're about to get married and we're about to have a family and all this kind of stuff, right? And she really wanted to see it. Then she asked the realtor a question. She says she cannot remember the question that she asked the realtor, but she knows she asked the question because she knew in her mind she was anticipating her husband, fiance, boyfriend, have an excuse. But she said, even though she don't remember the question, she remembered the answer that she got from the realtor. And that was that an older white couple bought the house. So at that point, at the very least, she knew that her husband was lying. Why I keep saying husband? Because they ain't married. She told the realtor that was her husband. This ain't her husband, y'all. This is her damn fiance. And so she was wondering, how was he going to get out of this lie? But she was so tired. She was just being strong alone, all these lies. And she was just so tired. She was like, you know what? I'm willing for him to tell me anything to get out of this lie. So she said, as ugly as the decision was, she's about to have a baby. He's paying all of the bills. So let me just let him get out of lie. Because she already knew that he knew the house was already sold. He already knew this. And sure enough, the next day when she asked him about the house, he said his friend said something is going on with the interest rate. She literally said, if the interest rate isn't as good as we want it to be, honey, then maybe we should just go ahead and cancel the deal. Maybe we should just, back out of everything. We can always cancel everything we purchase, just so long as we, are moved in our new house before the year is over, because she doesn't want to be moving while still pregnant as the time goes on. You get bigger and stuff. So she's like, let's do this now before I get too big, at the end of the year, whatever. Right. So that leads us off into part 6. Now, part 6, she was spotting. She was cramping at work. Her doctor had already told her, and mind you, I'm skipping over some things, right? So her doctor had told her that they didn't hear a heartbeat on her last visit. So her friend at work, because she was sick at work, her friend at work took her home. Then her husband, she said he drove down from Duluth. He took her to the doctor the next day. And the doctor basically said, you got 3 choices. You could take a pill that will cause you to induce, contract, and expel the fetus. Or you can have a DNC at the hospital. She didn't want to have no DNC because it was the pandemic. And she was like, no, I don't want to do that. Or you can basically let it naturally happen or whatever. She decided on the pill. And she highly does not recommend that any woman does that. I ain't never done nothing like that, so I don't know what the pill do, but she just, the way she explained it, been in excruciating pain, been on the toilet all day, all night. She was like, if you ain't got to take that pill, don't take it. But within and surrounding all that, she said it was her ex's birthday, which was June 17th. And she said even through everything she was going through, they decided to try to do their best to celebrate his birthday at dinner. I can imagine going to dinner when I'm about to literally have a miscarriage. But anyway, she said they went to dinner, celebrated his birthday the best way they could. And when she got home that night, she took the pill. Again, she said it was very excruciating, very painful. She doesn't recommend it. She said she was projectile vomiting, like all kind of stuff. And then he took her to the doctor about 72 hours later to see if everything had passed, but it didn't. So she had to get a DNC anyway. So that was scheduled at the beginning of July. Her ex was supposed to take her and pick her up. But a few days before that, he told her he was up for a promotion to VP on the day of her surgery, and he had to be there. He couldn't tell his job what's going on, even though it's a private matter, a very private and personal procedure. You couldn't tell your job. You literally, now mind you, it is a pandemic and it ain't like everybody can go in the hospital all together, nothing like that. But he couldn't even drive her. He was like, oh, I'll just have my sister. She was like, I don't know your sister. And he was like, but you family now. What's wrong with that? She's like, I don't know your sister. I ain't never met your sister. This is a private matter. I don't want her all in my business like that. He really acted like it wasn't no big deal. So then she was like, well, I was like, telling him, nope, that ain't happening. So then she said her aunt and her friend from work, the one who took her home the other day, they offered to, take her there. And it ended up being her friend, the one from her work. Her friend took her there. And after the procedure, though, he was supposed to pick her up after his business meeting, which leads into part 7. After her procedure and in recovery, the nurse called him, the husband, and his executive assistant picked up the phone and basically said he's in a meeting and you can relay anything that you want to tell him to me because he knows that his fiance is at an appointment and people are going to be calling. So is there anything you need me to tell him? And the nurse was like, I can't tell you shit because of HIPAA, right? The nurse, she was nursing, okay? She was like, I can't tell you nothing. Just tell the husband to call us. So finally, he did call back, said he was on the way. And he was again coming from Duluth, which was about, she said, an hour away. So she said, my recovery time after the procedure was only supposed to be about an hour and a half. So he's about an hour away. So basically an hour and a half later, with that traffic around that time, he should have been there. But she actually ended up being there for 3+ hours because her husband still hadn't arrived yet, claiming that he was stuck in traffic. But finally he got there. They wheeled her to the car because, of course, he couldn't come in from the pandemic. She was drugged up on pain pills. She was in pain. And he called her aunt. This is, that's a good thing that he did, even though he didn't want to take her there. But he did at least call her aunt and call her mother and said, I have her. I'm taking her home. She's good. But he told them, don't bother her. Don't contact her. Let her rest. Give her a week. She said, my family, a black family from New Jersey, they wasn't having that. She said her auntie was like, fuck you. I will fuck you up over my niece. Don't you tell me not to call my damn niece for no damn week. And she just done had this serious ass procedure. I was like, honey, you ain't lying, because that would have been my mom. My mama would have been all suspect, like, huh? A week? Don't call her for a week? Now I can see if I said that to my mama, she still would have been like, I'll call you when the hell I want to, because that's what I tell my child too. I will call you when the hell I want to. But anyway. Now, once they were back at home, he did wait on her hand and foot. He was supporting her, so he was being the doubting husband that, any wife would want. And after that, he did start again talking about houses. And this time she said she told him she wanted to be involved in every part, every aspect of this purchasing process. So they found a new home. They found a new agent. His name was Scott. She said, really, really nice guy. They told him the budget. And Scott told them, make sure you find something that is empty. This way, this time, you can actually do a real tour of the house and you don't have to do a virtual house. And she said around that time, they was up to like 15 houses. And the next house was like $699,000, brand new construction, but no finished basement, which he needed for his man cave. He really wanted a man cave. But she was involved in every aspect. So she saw the paperwork. She saw the contract. She was involved. She got to tour the house. They toured the house several times. She loved the house. They made an offer. I mean, basically everything was just going smooth, it seemed. And then basically what would happen is if the seller accepted the offer, which was cash, if they accepted cash and also finished the basement, which would cost about $15,000 to $20,000, then they got a deal. But they had 24 hours to respond. 24 hours to respond. That is a big offer, right? And 24 hours to respond. Like 700 some thousand, 800 some thousand cash house, and you want the basement finished for 15 to 20,000? Like, okay, yeah, if you get the cash, yeah, that's a lot of money. You ain't got through the bank and all the rigmarole of inspections and all this kind of stuff. And you can close right away, but still, like, you put somebody like, no. Anyway, that house was beautiful too. I looked up that house too. Our house was gorgeous. I was like, whoa, y'all get some badass houses. And again, I was asking her, like in the very beginning, I was not asking her, but I'm just like, you can't afford these houses on your own. So why are you allowing this man to find all these mansion of a home for you guys? You haven't even had your first baby yet. Why do you need a house with 50,000 square feet? I don't get it. And then you didn't actually see this man's bank accounts. You didn't actually see him having any coins in any bank account. You're still just going by what he said. Anywho. So they was like giving them 24 hours, right? That rolls into part 8. So part 8, the second house, it fell through. It fell through, and then they found another house. That one fell through because the buyer was just like, we ain't doing no damn basement. We ain't putting 15 to 20K in the basement. Either you want the house or as is or not. And plus they had other offers on the table. It was a little lower. The other offer was a little lower, but they didn't ask them to do a 15 to 20K basement remodel, and they didn't ask them to have it closed right away. And so basically they went ahead with another offer. So that one fell through. Then another house they found that fell through. And it's because they found out the house was sitting on a septic tank and needed work done, which would cost about 15 to 20K. The sellers were not willing to fix the tank. And since she didn't really care about that house that much, she was like, I ain't willing to put that, I ain't willing to do that offer. Let's just cancel. They had 24 hours to do so, so they did. That leads into part 9. Now, in part 9, she pauses on the house because she wants to discuss this car purchase. She wants to discuss this car purchase, so she puts the pause on the house. Now, around this time, I noticed some of the chat, and they were having the same feelings that I was feeling. Like, for one of the persons who was watching her said, at this point, I can't help but notice how focused you are on money and materialistic things. Just an observation. She said, this relationship seems to be focused on money and materialistic things. Somebody else said, this relationship seems to be based on material things. It's almost like she stayed with him thinking he had money. And y'all let me know if that's how y'all felt as well, because that's exactly where my mind was going at that time. So anyway, part 9, pause in the house to the car. She was driving at that time. She met him, a 2012 Nissan Rogue, fully loaded, but she said she was upside down in payments, or upside down in the car. He was driving a 2018 Ford Taurus Sports Mode. And she said when he got promoted, he told her that he could get a company car. So they went to Range Rover, Jaguar, BMW, Ford, and decided on, BMW sedan. But she was like, I really don't like the sedan. I really want, And so he explained to the salesperson what he wanted. And he also told them that he got to have it printed out, full price of car with taxes, title, tag, everything. The salesperson automatically understood because, again, it was the pandemic. And that's how a lot of people were doing. Okay. So the salesperson gave them the printout. And in front of them, he called the person, the fiance. He called the person in his finance department at his job. Explained to them how much the car was, because he had a 90K. He said he had a 90K limit, which is just under the amount that the BMW was worth. He told the salesperson that his job put him on hold. Now he's doing this all in front of his fiance, in front of the salesperson. He got off the phone, sends pics to his job of the printout of the paperwork, then said they got it. He made sure that they got it. But the person who actually can do the wire transfer had already went home for the day. So he told the BMW employee that the person went home for the day and they could just come back tomorrow. She said still at that time, she had no reason, once again, to believe that he was lying. She said because he was right there, he was on the phone, he was talking to them, he was requesting paperwork, he sent the paperwork. She was like, I had no reason to believe that he was lying. And so while they were out there willing and dealing at the car lot, he even got the wire transfer information from the salesperson. And he said first thing in the morning, they'll come back up there, they'll get the car. But he felt like, you know what? I think I want you in something a little bit more newer, a little bit more secure than what you got. She really wanted a Kia. But since they were having a baby, he wanted her to drive something more newer and more secure. So he was looking at stuff like, BMWs and things like that. But before that, they did look at a Kia. They looked at a Ford Explorer. He didn't really like those. What else did he look at? Yeah, it was a Kia Telly, she said, a Kia Sorento, and a Ford Explorer. And he didn't like any of those. He really wanted her to get a BMW X5. So they went to a BMW dealer. And he had her test drive all these cars, the X5, X6, X25, I'm just making up stuff now. The F25 sedan, the M series. And she really loved the BMW. So according to him, he had BMW in San Diego before he moved to Georgia. And he really loved that BMW. He even showed her pictures. But unfortunately, the car was totaled 2 months before he went to Georgia. So that's how he was in the Ford that he was in, right? And he said that he got a settlement to buy another car. Then he got the Ford Taurus. And he was like, now people were wondering, okay, if he make all this money, he was in pro football, or not pro football, but arena, it's kind of semi-pro, arena football. And he got a Ford. But he said the reason why he got the Ford was because he just wanted something, just something till he got settled in Georgia. So she had test drove BMW. She loved it. She wanted the X5. She drove so many cars. She said they were either looking at cars or houses on the weekend. Cars or houses. Houses or cars every weekend. But she finally settled on the Audi Q8. And he even told her family in Zooms, because it's the pandemic. So he was telling her family in Zooms and in person, he was buying her a car. They were totally impressed. They was like, oh my God, this guy must make a lot of money. They was like, wow, he buying you a BMW, girl. He told her grandpa, told her family, I'm buying her a car. Wow. They was like, oh my gosh, you got a winner, girl. Family and friends are, what a BMW, a big child. Keep them. But yeah, so her family was all impressed and everything. She never realized it then, she said. But now in hindsight, she noticed he was always bragging about he can fight. Number 2, he had money. Number 3, he can play football. Then she told him to pick a car because she's like, you know what? You're buying it. Go ahead. Pick which one, Audi or the BMW. Which one? He picked the Audi. And she wanted a white Audi Q8. And he got the printout for it. He got the printout of everything. And he said he was going to pay for the car. So, moving right along. He said he was going to pay for the car out of his savings account. The one he got offshore. He asked the dealer, is there a holding fee? Since he had to get the money transferred. And since it was the pandemic. And he was like, I know, because it makes it a little longer. It takes sometimes a little longer for the transfers. So I just want to be sure. And one of the things that he said at this point was that he was going to be able to get away. Well, she said, one of the things she said at this point was that he was able to get away with a lot of stuff because of the fact that they were on lockdown. Because of the fact a lot of people are on lockdown. So this made me kind of believe that he probably was the first one doing these type of things to other people. But so the dealer was like, oh, yeah, we used to that. Just like with the printout and everything. It's the pandemic. Yeah, we used to that. Money transfers can take longer. So the dealer was cool with that. He was cool with it. So the fiance called his financial advisor, Eric, right in front of her, right in front of the dealer, and told him he needed to transfer like $72,000 to buy a car for his fiance, and asked Eric, does he need him to give him the information over the phone, or does he need him to email the information to him? Then he said, now mind you, she didn't hear nobody on the phone, so it ain't like she heard Eric's voice. But she said, her fiance said, okay, give me a few minutes, I'll email it to you. But again, she didn't hear anybody on the other end of the phone, even though he did pull up an email and he did send somebody something. Then he called her the next day and said the people at Audi has received the money, but the car will be delivered to the house. So instead, remember, they were supposed to go and pick up the car, but this time he said the car was going to be delivered to the house. She was like, now, I don't live in the hood, not that type of hood. I don't live in that type of hood, but I do live in a hood where you don't want no brand new Audi being delivered to your house, because she wanted it to be in a garage, and she only got a one-car garage where her Nissan was already at. So he asked her, if I call and reschedule, delivery, can you be home for it? She said, yeah, I only go to work, go to the office a few days a week, and I'm at home usually the rest of the week. So yeah, you can have it delivered tomorrow. So he set it up to be delivered between 1 and 3 p.m. 1 came, 2 came, 3 came, but no car came. The car was never delivered. So she calls him at work. She said, should I call Audi myself and find out why the hell my new car ain't here if the money was transferred and they received it and you had made arrangements from 1 to 3? And he got obviously very defensive. Red flag number, is that 4? Red flag number 4. But child. So she got home. She was cooking. And he called her and said, this was his excuse. The car was stuck on a truck in Spartanburg. And she said she immediately started laughing. She said because at this point, she felt guilty because on one hand, she believed him. And on the other hand, she thought, nobody told him that car was stuck somewhere on a damn truck in Spartanburg. Ain't nobody told him that car was going to be delivered. And he just made that up. The car was never delivered. But he told her. That's what they told him. So the car would be here this weekend. So, of course, when the weekend came, the car didn't come. They got into an argument. And she was like, you know what? Forget it. Don't even worry about it. I don't need a car that bad. When I get the money to get my car or my own car, I would buy my own car when I get my own money. Once I save up some money or whatever, when I'm able to afford it, I'll get my own damn car, right? So that was in the car. She's like, I don't want to hear shit else about no damn cars. Don't say nothing to me about no other car. She was really, really frustrated at that point because she didn't know if they would ever get a car or if they would ever get a house. She was like, at this point, she always thought, her ex got off seeing people. And let me know if you know somebody like this. She said she thought her ex was getting off or got off seeing people get so excited over something they'll never get. Seeing somebody get excited about something they will never receive, which she still, to this day, she says she can't comprehend the level of cruelty that he put her through. That leads up to part 11. Now, part 11, she kind of talks about, his family background. And that's what she shares with us again. His parents had passed away. The dad for cancer. She don't know what the mom passed from. And she said he has 2 siblings, 2 brothers, one in Philly, one in Nashville, 2 sisters, one named Shantae, who lives in Douglasville near them, and a Kim in Augusta, and then 2 half-brothers with his dad, one in Baltimore and one in Augusta. And she said the bro in Augusta she had met, she said she actually shook his hands. They actually met in person. She said the one in Baltimore she had FaceTime before, but the one in Philly she has never talked to on the phone. She's always talked to him through her husband, meaning, like, you be on the phone with your homegirl. Yeah, honey. Felicia said hi, babe. You don't hear nobody in the background, but yeah, So that's basically what it was. It was like she was in the house. He would be on the phone with his bro. He would say, "Yeah, bro, she's right here. Yeah, bro, she's all right. Yeah, she said, hey, bro. He said, hey, girl. You know, he asked how you was doing, girl. She said, hey, to you, bro, how I'm doing. You know, it was like that. So she never really heard his voice or seen him on FaceTime or anything like that. But it was just that type of back and forth thing. She said that brother though talked to John every morning. Talked to her fiance John every morning especially after the grandma passed away, you know, from the COVID. She said she just automatically believed that his grandma's died, by the way, too, because there was a lot of red flags in this story already. But she said she did believe that his grandma had died, and that he also had an uncle who died. So she said she did believe those because who would lie about that? Like, who would lie about a lot of the shit that he has lied about, obviously, but who would lie about his grandma and uncle dying from the COVID, especially when people were dying left and right from that around that time. But she said they would be on the phone all the time, every morning, talking about sports, talking about their family members, talking about cars, etc., etc. You know, whatever guys talk about. And she could actually hear the conversation going on with that brother. She said she could hear her hubby talking, but not necessarily hear the bro on the phone. But he would say stuff like, "Yeah, you know, it is like he's talking to somebody on the phone, right?" And then she said, one of the sisters, Shantae, in Douglasville, she said she's never met, but never heard her on the phone either, but heard him talking to his sister. So it's the same type of situation with that one. Now she said he's also was married, or no, his sister Shantae. Remember, that's the one that lives in Douglasville, the one that he had said could take her to get her DNC, and she was like, "Hell no, I don't know her, whatever." But that sister, she's married, she got 2 kids, live about 35 minutes away, and plenty times she said that they were invited to his sister's house. She said at least 3 times for 3 different barbecues or get-togethers or whatnot. And she said she never went at first because the sister is a nurse. It is the pandemic. And she's like, I ain't trying to go to no cookout and she be the nurse around all these people at the house. No, 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 no. Then she said another time, the sister invited them. And he the one who said no because of the COVID. Then, like the 3rd or 4th time, he got a call from his sister, and it was another invitation. But then the sister canceled the barbecue. So she was like, you know, Nisa was like, nah, that's okay. You know, maybe another time. And she said it didn't happen close enough for her to have red flags. Like, it wasn't like every week or every other day, or, you know, it wasn't like close enough, like the events or the barbecues where that raised another flag. But she was just like, you know, at this point, she said, y'all probably thinking I'm so blind. I'm so naive. I'm so gullible. I'm so desperate. And that's what I'm thinking too. But then she said he spoke to his bro from Augusta again, and the one that he always was speaking to on the speakerphone. And she said, I'm not really a dumb person. She said, but it just never dawned on me the things that she should have probably investigated. And that leads up to part 12. Now, the ex-wife. This part she was talking about the ex-wife. So, in 2020, she said that he and the ex-wife, so when they met in 2020, he told her that he and the ex-wife, they used to be friends, then they dated, then they got married in Cali. He told her that he bought a house from money he made from arena football. He even showed her the picture of the house inside and outside in San Diego. He claims that when he came home early one day, his wife was sleeping with another man in their house, and him and the man got into it. He also said that her 17-year-old son was on his way home from school when the husband found the wife with another man. So he said he kicked his wife out and said the kids can stay. Of course, as any mother would, you must be crazy. And you ain't even a biological father. I wish you would. But anyway, the kids was like co-signing, like, why the hell we gotta move? You the one who messed up. I wish my kids would. But then eventually she got her own place, and the kids did finally move in with their mom a few weeks later. Then the divorce turned ugly. I guess she wanted child support. She wanted spousal support. He wanted all kind of stuff. He still wanted to be, in the kids' life. He wanted to keep a relationship with the kids, especially, he said, since the bio dad wasn't around that much. And, they eventually became cordial, over time. They eventually became cordial with each other. And 2 years later, that's when his job approached him with the opportunity to move to Georgia. So again, fresh start. And he also has family there. So he caught her cheating. He filed for a divorce, and he kept a relationship with her kids. And he's heard, she said she's heard him on the phone with the 17-year-old doing schoolwork. And he also said the kids want to meet her. She said he would send the kids money, and he actually loved them as if they were his own. Then she said, I'm sorry. She said his wife or ex-wife ended up moving to Georgia, to Gwinnett County with the kids. And so after he told her that, she was like, so what does this mean for us? Is she going to be a problem? Why is she moving to Georgia? You moved to Cali? Then she moved to Cali? Like, what's up with that? And he was like, no, she don't want me back. There's never been a time that she actually, act like she wants me back. So he's trying to assure her, she don't want me back. You ain't got nothing to worry about, right? You ain't got nothing to worry about. Somehow, I feel that's not going to be true later on in the story. But anyway, he told her that his fiance was married. Now, tell me if y'all agree if that was wrong of him, because she's like, why would you tell your ex-wife that I was pregnant? Like, that's none of her business. Why will, as far as I'm concerned, the only business between y'all is the kids, and them ain't even yours. Like, but you marry her, you marry them. But anyway, she was like, no, you didn't have to tell her that. That was not her business. And so that leads up to part 13. And that's the last part I'm going to discuss for now. So part 13. In this part, she finally says that the reason why she thinks she married him was out of fear. And she reiterated how she really thought he really liked her. They met in March. He moved in at the end of March. She got pregnant in May. She lost her baby in June. And in August, he bought her a Nissan Altima. She said when she met him, she was driving a 2012 Nissan Rogue. She said he paid the down payment and said he would help her buy a car. But she said the biggest mistake she made was signing herself up for a car note. And she knew she needed him to help her with the car. Now, remember, in the beginning, when they were looking at these homes, she asked him, can you afford these expensive houses? Because I can't. But you allow him to get you a car with car payments. And even though he said he will, because obviously, if he can afford the house, he's going to help her with the house bills, right? So now she's like, I made a mistake because now I got car payments. But you would think if he would get her a car, he would help with the car payments. That's a lot cheaper than the house, right? So why do you figure this is a big mistake? But anyway, she said the biggest mistake she made was signing herself up for a car note when she knows she needed him to help for the car. And another thing I asked myself, if he can afford to pay almost $1 million cash for a house, why couldn't he pay cash for her car? But she said at that point, she was tired of looking at cars. She was tired of looking at houses. She was tired of visualizing herself in a new car and a new house. And, she was like, hey, it is what it is. I'll take the new car. And she said she finally said to herself again that she married him out of fear. Now, again, a lot of people in her comment section was saying it sounds more like it was about money, materialistic items. Like you just believe, like you really want to believe he had all this money. And that's why you stayed with him. But y'all let me know what y'all think. So anyway, it's now fall. And she said in October, they looked at another house. And that was the one on 4356 Highborn Drive Northeast, Marietta, Georgia. It was about $700,000. He put in another all cash offer on the house. And the agent, Scott, had called them about 24 hours later. The sellers loved the offer. The seller was just basically asking him to show proof of funds, to accept the offer. But her fiance, John, said, I ain't showing y'all proof until y'all accept the offer. Now, if you ever went into a home purchase offer, home purchase deal, you should know, ain't no seller in their right mind gonna sign an offer and agree to an offer for a cash deal without you showing them proof that you got that money. So they went back and forth. But then the seller was like, you know what? You got 2 days to show us proof of funds. So she was like wondering, if you could show me this paperwork from Chase saying you can get this mortgage, why can't you show them the same thing, that you got money? Why can't you show it? What's the big problem? What's the big deal? But he kept refusing to show it until he got the offer, until they accepted the offer. And she said because he was afraid they would start a bidding war. Was that red flag number 5? You don't want to show these people. And his realtor was like, you know what? It's easy. All you got to do is have the bank send something over. You can either cross out your name, cross out the account number, show them that you got the money. That's all you got to do. But it was like as if he knew already they would start a bidding war, giving him a reason to back out the offer. So even the realtor, Scott, even their own realtor said, you know what? I apologize. You know what? I should have collected their pre-approval letter, from John and her fiance. He said, I should have accepted your pre-approval letter. I should have got proof of funds. And at this point, my broker is telling me we can't show you another house until John shows proof of funds. And he said, he's telling them, like, why can't you just show the proof of funds? It's so easy. And then what's his excuse to let that realtor go? Well, it's your fault that you're unprofessional. That's the whole reason why you can't show us no house, because you're unprofessional. So that ain't our fault that you ain't know how to do your job, that you didn't do your job correctly. But again, she didn't understand the wife or the fiance. Nisa, she didn't understand why he couldn't show proof of funds. She said, you just signed an offer for full price and cash. You just signed the offer. So it don't make any sense. And then she said, you know what? If there's any realtors out there, let me know, how this normally goes or what normally happens in this type of situation. And you know what? I called my realtor, the one I had when I bought my shit, and I asked him. I sure did earlier today. And I was like, such and such, there's this thing going on where these two people, they having a bidding war, and one is offering cash, a lot of money, and he wants the other people to accept the offer before he shows them proof of the funds. He said, ain't no way. He said, ain't no way they realtor will let that go down. He said, you always got to show proof, because what happens if they change their mind? If you accept the offer and the buyer changes their mind and say, we don't want to do cash anymore, we want to do mortgage, then you got to go through the inspections and you go through all the other stuff that goes with, a mortgage. So he said, ain't nobody in their right mind would do that. So, but he knew that. And he knew they would back out the deal. And that's exactly what happened. So the seller, the agents, they knew what they was doing, and they stopped the offer. So basically, Scott was like, until you show us proof that you got money in your bank account, we ain't showing you shit else. And, and he cut all ties with them. And she said, recently, she said, you know what? That realtor knew something was off. Scott, he knew something was off. And he did not want to be in the middle of it. That's what I'm thinking too. He did not want to be in the middle of it. I mean, they had looked at like 25 houses by the end, had 3 offers that fell through. And she said, at this point, I don't know. I just don't know. So again, I skipped certain parts because it was 13 parts and I didn't read well, I didn't skip the parts. I just skipped some of the stuff she was saying because some of the stuff wasn't that important to repeat. But yeah, they had looked at 25 houses and had 3 offers that fell through. And again, some of the people in her chat was saying how they believe she was so focused on money and materialistic things that she just didn't take in all the red flags that she should have. And in hindsight, she says she does realize how he was always doing certain type of things, bragging about his money, bragging about how many times he done fought in his life, that he can really fight, and of course, bragging about being good at arena football. But in hindsight, she missed a lot. She missed a lot. But anyway, that is my recap on parts 1 through 13 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? You guys, make sure you like and share the video, subscribe to the Hood Table, and I hope you are looking forward to the next parts that I will do. I stopped at 13. Maybe I'll do 13 through 26 or something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to do the whole thing in only like 4 videos because she did like 50, 11. Okay. So anyway, like and share the video. Stay tuned for the next series. The next part, probably 13 through 26. Stay safe. Be blessed. Remain vigilant at all times. Hit the Cash App if you feel like, being a blessing to the host of the Hood Table, which is me. $ the Hood Table 402, like it says on the screen. And always remember to keep it hood. I'm out.